Hello there guys, LazyBeast here. I hope you're doing well today, and what we've got here are 6 Torghast tips, things that are going to help you tackle the tower. Now the best piece of advice I can give for Torghast is just try not to die, and just try and make it all the way to the end, and then you'll be absolutely fine. And that's a joke, so let's just jump into the actual guide. Tip number 1 is to make use of the broker, and specifically the broker's bubble. So when you're in the bubble you can change talent, swap your soulbind and all that sort of stuff. So if you come into Torghast and you've not quite got the right sort of talents, or you come in hoping to get some certain anima powers and you don't get them and you feel a bit weak and you want to change things, make use of this. If you're one of those specs that has like a really good single target talent build and a really good AoE one, you might want to change to your single target build when you're coming up to a boss and stuff like that. So do make the most of this. You'll know your class and what suits you best. It's important just to not forget, because when I was testing this I didn't realise I could actually change my talents until I stopped being stupid and looked at the buff and said, oh, you're free to change things. So yeah, make use of the broker. The second tip is have a keen eye for treasures, so always be on the lookout for keys on the floor, random levers that look like you can pull them, any kind of puzzle, because there's a lot of things dotted around Torghast and you'll get some little rewards for doing these extra things. Now obviously if you're in a bit of a rush and you just want to blast through, you can skip this, but it's worth doing them if you've got the time. The third tip is to be aware that some of the anima powers stack and some of them don't, so this is going to help you avoid buying pointless anima powers. If you keep on buying the same thing again thinking it's stacking and then you realise that it's not, you can always check your anima powers in a little tab at the side and see which ones we've currently got. And if you've just bought a second copy of one and you notice it's not stacked, obviously don't buy that one again a third time, because you're just wasting your choices. It'll be better buying something that's much weaker, but there's maybe like a small percentage boost that does actually stack. As a general rule of thumb, anything that is a percentage modifier does usually stack, and anything that says, like for example, when you use X ability deal 2000 damage, that sort of thing does stack. It will go to 4000 and 6000, but this isn't going to be the case for every single ability. There's a lot of abilities, a lot of different things with the specs and the covenants and all that sort of stuff, so you'll learn in time, what to look out for and what not to take 2 copies of. You may even actually change this and make it so that you don't get offered a second copy of something that doesn't stack, but that's not the way it currently is when I tested this, so just bear that in mind. Always be on the lookout for traps and learn how each of them works, because a lot of them can be avoided quite easily once you've figured them out. So is there a big scratch mark on the floor coming up ahead? There's going to be a big axe that swings down when you step near that. Lots of the traps can just be immune. For example, obviously things like Paladin Bubble, you can just pop bubble and just walk through things and you're not going to take any damage at all. Not everyone has access to stuff like that. Use your movement abilities to help you get through these. Things like disengage from hunters, you can turn backwards, jump in the air, disengage and potentially jump straight over a trap and it not be any threat whatsoever. Things like the spirit bolt thing that goes across the floor when you come close. So what you can either do is either go really fast across it or step near it to bait it to come past and then cross when it's done and you're perfectly safe. You'll learn specifics of traps as you go through Torghast, but just bear in mind, you do all have certain ways of getting around them. You can pass them all without taking damage, so just get used to them. The next tip is to watch the edges, mind the drop. Now, sometimes there's enemies that come that have a knockback ability and they will very much use this when you're near the edge and send you flying down and waste one of your deaths. So remember to be very careful of your positioning and watch for things that stack up as well. So sometimes you'll have a pack of mobs, or if you pull in a lot of mobs at one time, that some of them will have a fear and some of them will have a knockback. And it's very, very common that if you get feared, you will run to the edge of the platform, in which case that leaves you vulnerable if you've not got a way of breaking out of the fear, for you to also then be knocked off the edge. So just bear that in mind and be careful. Focus down the mobs that have the knockback or the fear and deal with it accordingly. It's very frustrating when you're absolutely smashing through Torghast and then you just get punted off the edge by some silly little mob. So this is something that you're only going to do a couple of times before you think, right, no, I need to focus. I am not getting my ass kicked off this ledge again. And the final tip for this video is know your enemies. Now, most of them are just regular mobs that you can just blast down pretty easily, but some have interesting abilities that can be pretty dangerous. For example, if you get a fear mob and a knockback one like I've just mentioned, that combo can be pretty deadly and result in an easy kick off the edge. Things can add up as well, so like if you get feared and you've got loads of anima powers that increase your speed, if you get feared you're going to run off at crazy speed and probably even run into another pack which may have some dangerous mobs in that you're just not prepared for, so bear things like that in mind. You'll need to learn that in the different packs and the different layers of Torghast, which mobs that you need to either CC and interrupt or focus down first. A good example of knowing your enemy is on my Death Knight. I was facing some mobs in a pack that had an ability which reduced my healing and absorbs done by 25% each time, which stacked up quickly, so very fast. I had no healing potential, no absorb potential, but what I did have was an anima power that let my anti-magic shell cleanse debuffs from me. So what I could do is go in, focus on my DPS, blasting these guys down, interrupt one of them, and then when I got really bad I could use AMS to get rid of this debuff, heal up again, and that's how I was able to deal with those packs. So those are some quick tips, guys. I hope those help you in your adventures in Torghast, and do enjoy it. This is quite a fun system. I had an absolute blast the first few times I played through Torghast. It was really fun. See what wacky builds you come up with and just enjoy yourself. I've been LazyBeast, guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and leave a like, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.